NFL players break out every year and leave fans stunned as no one sees it coming. 2025 NFL breakouts include Caleb Williams, Drake May, and Jackson Smith-Njigba. Breakouts will continue this year, and there will be a handful of new players that break out in 2026. My first player that's going to break out in 2026 is Cam Ward. In Cam's rookie year, he struggled with reading defenses, accuracy, and footwork. But Cam was also behind a mediocre offensive line and had unreliable weapons. Even through all of these struggles, Cam managed to show flashes of potential through the rough, including a 256 passing yard, 2 total touchdown game versus the number 1 ranked Seattle Seahawks defense, and a 250-yard, 2 passing touchdown game versus the Saints. From the O-line to the receivers, and head coach Brian Callahan, all having large periods of struggle throughout the season, Cam was forced to force a lot of balls and make Superman plays. As a rookie, Cam had to be relied upon to create explosiveness despite multiple veterans being on the team. Cam's leading receiver was Chig Okonkwo with 560 yards. Cam excelled in his pocket presence, playmaking, and leadership, which is a rare trait for rookies to show. From weeks 1 through 6, Cam was completing 55% of his passes, had 3 total touchdowns, and 6 turnovers. This was abysmal, even for a rookie in a bad scheme. But Cam in the final 6 games had completed 63% of his passes for 9 total touchdowns and only 1 interception. Cam shows a lot of promise through the second half of the season, and with the Titans having the 4th overall pick, it puts them in a great position to draft a positional need like a wide receiver in Carnell Tate, Mekhi Lemon, or Jordan Tyson, or even an edge rusher like Ruben Bain, David Bailey, and Arvell Reese. Barring some good free agency signings and a good draft class, Cam Ward's stats could look something close to this, and the Titans could maybe compete for a wildcard spot with first-year head coach Robert Saleh. The second player bound for a breakout in 2026 is Luther Burden. In Luther's rookie season, he started off as the wide receiver 4 before eventually moving up to the wide receiver 3. Luther showed promise when he got the ball, but he had a lack of targets due to the amount of weapons in the Bears' offense. Luther also dealt with injuries that held him out for a week or two. But Luther had a few standout games, including a game versus the Cowboys where he had 101 receiving yards, also featuring his first touchdown as a 65-yard flea flicker catch that he took to the end zone. He also had a game versus the 49ers where he had 138 yards and a touchdown. Luther showed every time he got the ball that he is one of the most elusive and fast players in the NFL. He demonstrated reliable hands, having a 4.3% drop rate throughout the whole season. Luther also had an elite 2.8 yards per route run, which was 3rd among all wide receivers in the National Football League. Luther struggled early on with learning an NFL offense, injuries, and being utilized, but down the stretch, Luther Burden showed a lot of promise, and with the Bears most likely moving on from DJ Moore, he should get more targets and a much bigger chance to prove himself in one of the top offenses led by offensive prodigy Ben Johnson and borderline top 5 quarterback Caleb Williams. With all of these things occurring, Luther Burden should have a stat line that looks similar to this, and the Bears should be competing for a Super Bowl. The third player bound for a breakout in 2026 is Seahawks running back Kenneth Walker. Kenneth has been in the league a few years, and aside from his rookie season, he seems like he can never get over that hump to be a top 10 to 12 running back. Kenneth excels in physicality, vision, and elusiveness, but Kenneth struggles with lower body injuries, workload management, and rushing between the tackles. Kenneth will have games like versus the Rams in Week 16, where he has 164 total yards and a touchdown, having 9.1 yards per carry, but he will also have games like Week 1 versus the 49ers, where he has 10 carries for 20 yards with only 2 yards a carry, and Week 15 versus the Colts, where he has 9 carries for 17 yards, averaging only 1.9 yards a carry. With all of this, the reason the Seahawks have Zach Charbonnet so involved is because Kenneth Walker could not handle the workload of being an NFL back in seasons past. But Zach Charbonnet tore his ACL versus the Niners in the divisional round, so now Kenneth will have to be the workload for the 2026 season, and with the potential he's been showing throughout the playoffs and through the regular season, it's not crazy to say Kenneth Walker could be a top 10 running back next year. If Zach Charbonnet is hurt for most of the season and Kenneth gets a lot of carries, his stats might look like this. The fourth player that will break out in 2026 is Falcons edge rusher James Pierce Jr. Coming out of the University of Tennessee, James Pierce Jr. had been mocked as the first overall pick many times in mocks before the 2024 season. Pierce showed promise on the field, but had some off-the-field issues like getting arrested multiple times in college that served as character concerns for NFL teams. Pierce ended up running a 4.47 40-yard dash, which was recorded as the fastest time among defensive linemen. The Falcons took a chance at Pierce, trading back in the first round to take him. Expectations were high for the rookie, as the Falcons had to give the Rams some important draft picks to acquire him, and Pierce ended up living to the hype. The final player that I know will break out in 2026 is Colston Loveland. Before Week 6 of the NFL season, Colston Loveland wasn't being utilized at all and was being called a reach to take him at 10. Like Luther Burden, Colston Loveland struggled to be noticed early with the amount of weapons in the Bears' offense. Up to Week 6, Colston Loveland only had 116 receiving yards and 0 touchdowns. Then, the Bengals game came. Colston Loveland quickly got his first NFL touchdown. But near the end of the game, the Bears were faced with the challenge. Down 42-41 with less than a minute left at their own 25-yard line, with only one timeout, all hope seemed lost. Until Caleb Williams fired a shot to Loveland down the seam. Loveland made an amazing catch and bounced off multiple tacklers as he would score the game-winning touchdown. From that point, Colston Loveland broke out and became the most reliable pass catcher in the Bears' offense. Once the Bears reached the playoffs, they were down 21-3 early in the third quarter versus their rivals, the Green Bay Packers. It seemed Loveland was the only one who was catching everything. Loveland made multiple catches that helped the Bears come back to win that game, ending with 137 receiving yards. Loveland broke multiple records, including all-time NFL record for receiving yards by a rookie tight end in a single postseason, with 193 receiving yards in only 2 games, and first rookie tight end to record 8+ receptions and 100+ yards in a playoff game. Loveland ended up grading out as the third-ranked tight end in the entire National Football League. In his second year in the Ben Johnson offense, his stats might end up looking like this. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the content, hit the like button and subscribe. If this video gets 150 views, I will make a video of the most underrated draft prospects in the 2026 NFL Draft.